Hey y'all, Nova here, and welcome to my best settings guide for Dragons Dogma 2. Let's get right into it, starting off with our graphic settings, as that's what I think most people care about. So at the top, I have it on borderless window. However, full screen, you will get better performance. The only issue is it makes it harder to alt tab, as it will sort of lag out. And I alt tab a lot, so I like keeping mine on borderless window. That's just personal preference. For screen resolution, I just have it at the highest my monitor can support. Refresh rate, again, the highest my monitor can support. Frame rate, leave it variable so that it can go as high as possible. If you're getting stutters though, maybe you want to cap it like 120 FPS, something like that, as you can cap it like 120. So moving on to vertical synchronization, I would have this on. As you can see down there, if you turn it off, it doesn't really affect the graphics load very much. So I just leave that on. I think it looks pretty good, especially a game like this. It's not a competitive FPS. You don't want the game to look too much like shit. I turn dynamic resolution on so that it will automatically adjust it. Like if you're in a town and there's more entities and stuff, it'll automatically adjust the resolution so that you don't lag out too much. Then FSR is off because I have an NVIDIA graphics card. Speaking of which, DLSS super resolution is turned to quality. There are more options. You could turn this even to ultra performance, but as you can see, it doesn't really seem to make that much of a difference. So I think quality is a good middle point. For DLSS, NVIDIA Reflex low latency, I have it on, turned on. You could turn it to on plus boost, but honestly, I think on is just fine. Upscale sharpness, 4 looks just fine. Moving down from here, ray tracing I have off, however, it will make the game look much better with it on. It just uses more graphics memory. Okay, ambient occlusion, it started off at SCFAO. I turned it down to SSAO as you get more performance, and it still looks pretty good. Screen space reflection should be turned off. Mesh quality is low. Texture filtering is medium trilinear. This started on high and ISO 4 for me, and turning it down, it does seem to help. Texture quality turned down from high 2 gigabytes to 0.5. Grass and tree quality low. Resource intense effects quality is low. Shadow quality is low. Shadow cache is on. Contact shadows is off. Motion blur is off. I don't know why people have this on ever. It doesn't make a difference really graphics wise, but motion blur is just awful. I don't know why people like it. Bloom I actually have on. This is more personal preference. I think that bloom does make the lighting in the game look a lot better. And turning it off, it doesn't really seem to affect it much. So honestly, I am just leaving it on just because I think it looks cool. Depth of field I also have on. Some people won't like this because it blurs out the background, so you could turn that off if you're not into that. As you can see on the right, it'll blur out the background when you're focused on something. I honestly generally turn this off, especially if it's like more of a competitive game, but for this, I think it's okay to have it on. Lens flare, I'm not really a fan of, so I have it turned off, and it actually does save you some processing load as well. Lens distortion, I also have off. You can't really tell a difference, but definitely have that off. Then subsurface scattering I have off as well, and then motion quality on low. So that ends it for our graphic settings, and we can move on back to the top to our controls. I didn't really change much here. I will be using mouse and keyboard for this game, I'm pretty sure, and the only thing that I changed or tried to change actually was the dash, which is on shift, but I can't change it to caps lock, and that's what I usually change my sprint to. So left it on shift. I'll just have to deal with it, but everything else I think I left the same. All of that's still the same. So moving down to camera, there was only one setting that I changed in this. Honestly, all this seemed pretty well. If you're using a controller, you may want to make it so that you can move your camera around faster, but on mouse and keyboard it should be fine. But what I did do is, where's camera distance? There it is. Camera distance starts very zoomed in. I zoomed that out just a little bit, just so that have a little bit more field of view. I don't think really needs to be zoomed in that far. You could even zoom out all the way. But I think sort of in the middle is a good middle point, but everything else is fine and nothing else you need to change in there. We don't really have many game settings. Minimap rotation is definitely sort of a personalized preference. I like it where it just always aims north, so I know where I am. Some people like it rotating. I find that actually confuses me, and I like seeing where I am relative to stuff in the world versus like going through the world as a character. I don't know, that's just me. And then auto sheath I have on. You can choose whether to sheath your weapon or not. On mouse and keyboard at least, it is currently bound to X, so totally dependent on whether you want to or not. Priority of materials to combine on the player, and then destination of combined items on the player as well. Moving down to interface, I did not change anything here. Eventually if you get really used to the game, you may want to change or turn off like tutorial messages, level up you probably want to leave on, but honestly it's sort of up to you, but I leave most of this on, especially starting out. So moving on to display, nothing there. We already went through graphics and sound. Honestly, I left all these max. I think the mixing is pretty good. However, I tried changing it from TV to surround sound or headphones, because obviously I'm using headphones, but I actually think that TV has better sound quality overall. I also changed the dynamic range from small to large, as I think it sounds better on the low end and the high end, as that would make sense. So moving on to change BGM and sound effects. These are just extras that at least I'm pretty sure these are the extras I got for getting the deluxe version of the game. I turned both of them on. So if you're wondering where to go to turn those things on, they're right here. As you can see, it says replace certain in-game music tracks with add-on music tracks, and replace in-game sound effects with add-on sound effects. So moving on to language, we got English, nothing here to see really. And then finally, network. I didn't really change anything in there either. So anyways, there's my best settings guide. I hope you all found it helpful, and hopefully it gives you a bunch of FPS, or at least a boost. This game is absolutely gorgeous. However, I think a lot of people's machines are going to struggle to run it. So, if you don't have a high-end PC and you don't have the game yet, just be careful of that. But other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I'll be putting out a bunch of guides and other things over Dragons Dogma 2 over the coming days, so feel free to subscribe to catch those future videos. I really appreciate the support, y'all, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.